Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Sarah Scoop Show. This is our second episode of recapping The Bachelor this season. And as you can see, I'm joined by some lovely ladies that you will recognize from the franchise. So let's kick things off with an introduction. Again, I'm Sarah with Sarah Scoop. And now on to Tracy.
I'm sorry. I was like, shoot, I forgot if Elyse was going first.
No, you're fine.
I'm Tracy. I'm from Colton's season 23 of The Bachelor, and I'm a wardrobe stylist in Los Angeles.
I'm Ashley. I'm from Ari's season 22, and I'm a realtor in South Florida.
And I'm Elyse. I was part of the Cougar Den with Tracy on Colton's season, and I am a makeup artist in Scottsdale, Arizona.
And how, you guys were on season or episode 2 only, and I feel like there's already so much in this season. What are our initial thoughts before we dive deep into this episode?
It was a lot.
It was a second wine glass needed for sure.
Yeah, I need some wine for this episode for sure.
There was a lot that I felt like the girls were packing it on hard. There was a lot of feelings that were very quickly, being released all on Matt, which is good because we kind of get to know them really quick. But it was definitely, there were a lot of feelings right off the bat. I really enjoy Matt so far, honestly.
He's won me over. He won me over in one sentence last night, or one question, which is instead of like The Bachelor being such a lead normally where they have kind of all the quote unquote power, he asked like, what can I do? I think it was with Sarah. What can I do? And I was like, sign me up. Yeah. I'm a fan.
His demeanor is just, I'm impressed with him so much.
He's done a lot of things that are just different that I think are winning people over for sure.
Absolutely. It doesn't feel, nothing seems like he has any preconceived notions of anything that's happening. Like he is just going with it. He seems, for lack of a better word, very authentic. And he seems so engaging with all of the girls. He seems so interested in what each one has to say. And he has questions and he really wants to hear their answers. It's refreshing, I guess.
And so on last night's episode, we got to see a big group date. And I was like, I don't know, you guys would probably know better than I do, but there was a lot of things saying this was like the biggest group date in the history of the show. Taking it back, like for you guys that were on those group dates, what do you think the ladies currently were like going through?
I don't know. I was not involved in that group date at all. There were too many.
Being on a group date in general with I can't even remember how many girls were on my group dates. Let's call it 7 to 10 at the most. That already seems like a
Tracy,
lot.
I got to interrupt you. We had 15 in Singapore. 15? So 13 of us went on that group date.
Oh, you're right. That was actually all we did was kind of walk around the city. I remember that whatchamacallit doctor that I have the scar from, the leech doctor.
You got a scar.
I had to go to the emergency room.
But it left a mark on you? We need to see that.
Yeah, it's fading now. I don't know if you can see it. The lighting's too weird in here. I should have turned my ring light on. But anyways, so I just think even having that many girls or 7 is a lot of girls to compete with for the attention of one guy. Every girl on the date feels like they're competing. You're thinking of anything that you can do just to get close to the person. So I honestly can't imagine having practically every girl in the house in a wedding dress on top of it. And they're all kissing him. Watching that alone, that's very difficult usually.
Yeah, with Victoria on that date alone, that would have been I would have been like, you know what, this isn't for me.
We talked about her on the last episode we were doing, and there are so many different things going on online about Victoria. People are just like, oh, she's just an actress, or but I feel like people really become themselves on the show, right?
Depends.
Or an elevated version of themselves, right? When cameras are on you. But I don't think she's a paid actress on the show. I would bet my apartment on it. But I think some people thrive in this kind of environment, and you get a quote unquote villain like Demi, who really did get along with most people, like on our season, but knew how to like turn it up when cameras were on. I don't think Victoria is that. I think she is just struggling, and it's showing very, very early on. So it's concerning what it's going to look like in the episodes to come.
Yeah, like she's just, I agree. Like she just can't handle it, and then this is how she's reacting, and people are not liking it.
I do feel slightly like she is trying to fit a mold, kind of, potentially to make a name for herself, and kind of fit that Demi mold. But like Elyse said, like I obviously had like the most issues with Demi, but we still got along. Like nothing about what she ever did was mean or cruel or like hateful words. And I think that that's kind of where Victoria is kind of taking a nosedive, is that she sounds a bit more
spiteful,
angry and spiteful, and kind of evil.
Yeah.
Like her words, I think, is where it's taking it to like a different place that's not so playful anymore.
Yeah, I think I just think overall she's just overdoing it. She just needs to calm down.
And she started from the very first episode with Victoria stuff.
And that could have been like a bit that, you know, after the first night, I was kind of hoping she'd let it go, but she didn't. And I think too, anytime that you feel like the odd person out, there's two ways to handle it. You either go very, very kind and try to make some friendships, and she is clearly the odd woman out. And instead of, you know, doing what I think would be a better choice, which is cultivating some friendship, she is alienating herself even more. And it's going to blow up in her face, I think.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's always like some villain on the show, but usually they have redeeming qualities. Like people are able to laugh at them or, you know, think something. And I'm afraid for Victoria that she's not really winning a lot of people over.
No.
And the black bra didn't win me over either.
Oh my God. Yeah.
In every scene.
Oh my God. I saw that too.
It's one thing when you don't know that you're going to be in a wedding dress, you know, that stuff happens. But then with the, I don't know what to call that dress, the poofies, Tracy, you can help here. The abomination.
We do need Tracy's opinion on that fashion.
How do you handle that?
Because I love a big sleeve.
But not with a black and white sports bra in the back.
But no, I mean, the undergarments, like, you gotta kind of work with it a little bit. Like, come on, girl.
But I guess it is like, you know, if you're going on the show and you want to be remembered, you got to make statements. Maybe that is the way she's going.
I mean, I don't think that she's doing any of this to not be noticed.
Right.
For being honest.
But also to me when watching it, because like Tracy was in my room and we would say like, does this look good? Does this look good? The fact that the other girls let her go out like that means she really doesn't have any friends. Because most girls would be like, hey, come back in. I have a strapless bra you can wear.
Yeah, that's how you know she's the number on the girls. They're like, nope, you'll go right ahead. You look great.
You look great.
When you think back, like early on, I mean, like you were mentioning, you know, you guys were helping each other out. Do you feel like at this point they've known each other well enough that they should be helping each other out? Like they would be?
Yeah. I mean, if they are kind enough, then yeah.
Yeah.
Because at this point, your connection, you've had more time with the girls than you have with Matt.
Exactly.
So your friendships are developing a lot quicker with the girls. Mm-hmm. So yeah, if she's walking out like that, no one's saying anything. She's struggling in that house
in all areas.
Yeah.
So another person from last night's episode that I feel like stood out was Brie when she was opening up so much. I'd love to hear everyone's thoughts on her and her situation, and even just like I feel like Matt handled it pretty well. I'd like to just hear what you guys think.
Anyone else want to go first?
Go, Tracy.
I need someone else to go first. So
I'm trying to remember I'm bad with the names.
She was the one that like her mom had her, I think, when she was 13, right?
Yes, yes. I really like her. I think she's very sweet. I think they would actually make a really great match.
Yeah.
She was one of my picks from the first episode just because they have such, I mean, I don't know Matt's mom completely, but he's talked about the fact that she is a single mom and all this stuff. And so they have a lot of commonalities in how they were raised, which I think can make it very easy to form a connection very quickly when you have those shared bonds. I loved her, and I thought their conversation was incredibly sincere on both parts.
Yeah.
And it didn't feel like this is my sob story. It felt like, here's my story, and here's how I can connect it to what I know about you so far. So I liked it.
Exactly. And that's a deeper thing. That's a deeper like shared connection too. Like that story and that similarity of how they're raised. So I agree with that 100%.
And how hard do you feel like it is when you guys are in that moment, like for these women to be so vulnerable, like so early on, and like with, you know, I guess I'm envisioning like all the cameras around and things like that. Like, how difficult is that when you were in those situations, just to be open, whether it was filmed, whether it was televised? I mean, I'm sure there were some conversations we didn't even get to see from all of you.
I mean, it's definitely hard just because, I mean, you kind of forget the cameras are there pretty quickly, honestly, but at the same time, you know that this is information that the whole world is seeing. So it's not just a private conversation where you're being vulnerable with one person, you're being vulnerable with a hell of a lot of people. So to be able to basically tell so many people something that you maybe never told majority of people in your life is, I mean, that takes a lot of courage, honestly.
Yeah, I think on my one-on-one, they knew what we were going to talk about to a certain degree. And so the cameras do back off a little bit. But for me, sharing something about my family, it wasn't even just the whole world is going to see this. It's I'm on this show, but now I'm exposing the privacy of my family. And all of those things, while you're talking about it, are playing in your head of choosing your words very wisely, not just to connect with the person you're sitting across the table to, but in respect for the people. I mean, she's talking about her family and sharing something about her mom that, you know, the rest of the world might have certain opinions about. So I'm sure that played in her head. So it's not easy to share that stuff on a normal first date when there's not cameras, but also when you have to take other people's feelings outside the show into consideration too.
Yeah, definitely. I remember for like the first week or two, I had a tough time in the house. It was just very awkward with the cameras. It's like, it's an environment like you could never imagine, and it's very uncomfortable. So to see them going so deep this soon, I'm impressed. I mean, I don't think I could do it.
Yeah, and there was one other person that I want to talk about that stood out, and anyone else you guys want to talk about, please feel free to toss them out there. But Sarah, right? Sarah at the end when she like almost passes out or faints, like.
Don't lock your knees.
That's what I was gonna say. For hours. Like, how many of you were close to doing that? Like, is that with the rose ceremony? I mean, I'm sure there's not just lasting those few minutes we see.
Oh my God, it feels like an eternity. You're so exhausted and just delirious by that point. So, I mean,
the part is like she already had a rose though. So it's
that's why I know
like the extra anxiety of like waiting to see if she was going to get one.
I honestly, especially because she's not dealing with heat or anything crazy like they did on Tayshia's season, as a makeup artist, the one thing I tell my brides is like, when you get down to the end of the aisle, don't lock your knees. Yeah. It's the easiest way to pass out. And I think she was just standing on that riser and going, whoa.
Balance on that stupid second level.
Yeah.
Feels after being up all night, like it's a lot to balance on that thing. It feels like it's this thing.
Yeah.
And well, Tracy, you brought it up too. Like she already had a rose. I'm like, well, somebody might do that. You know, make sure they get their attention, get that rose. But when you're already holding one,
like I mean, I'm curious to see if there was like any actual reason that caused her to like get lightheaded, or if it was just like natural. I'm standing on this platform and just kind of like lost it.
And I mean, let's be honest. If she was on the one-on-one the night before the rose ceremony, that girl has not slept yet.
Oh yeah, exhausted.
Yeah, so how does that work? Like we see the one-on-one date and then we see the rose ceremony. Do like you guys get to go relax, or you're saying like she didn't sleep, like it's just boom, boom, boom?
You can
You
take
don't
a
sleep
nap,
much.
but you don't get like a full 8 hours or anything like that.
No, and I'm sure with just like all of the like anxiety and everything that was like coming off of the date from just like everything that happened, I doubt she slept very well in general. She was probably going through everything in her head all night.
It's fun to hear all of your perspective as people that have lived through this, because people are like, oh, you know, why is she falling over? Like things like that. And it's like, she's probably had a lot of stress and just exhausted.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And we're females. You got to take hormones into consideration too.
Yeah.
You never know what's going on in your body at those points. And I'll tell you, like what Tracy said, I completely agree with, because I remember, I don't know if they're because of quarantine staying in separate rooms. If so, I'm very envious. But I had to like sneak in at 2:00 in the morning after my one-on-one date. And I, you know, normally you'd call a girlfriend or say something, and you're just laying there like, okay, I'm going to replay every second of what happened and try to decipher what this means. And next thing you know, it's 6 a.m. and everyone needs to get up for breakfast and interviews, and you have not slept yet. So
Yeah, Elyse, you weren't here last week, but we were talking about that, and they mentioned like they were sleeping in bunk beds, and now they've got these very comfortable looking rooms.
I think that there's only like 2 in a room. Also,
I think so.
saw a clip that I forget what her name is. The other girl that Victoria had the issue with.
Marlena?
Everything.
It wasn't Marlena.
Is that
Who has the really
No.
great eyebrows?
so bad at names?
Yeah, great hair, great eyebrows. Yeah.
Marlena.
I saw like a behind the scenes clip that she supposedly put Victoria's bag out like in the hallway outside of their hotel room.
You know,
I don't like that.
it's gonna be really interesting to see like how Victoria is after the show, like when it's all done, when she comes out. And
Yeah, I'm a little worried for her. I think she's gonna get a lot of backlash. Because people are just mean on social media in general. Yeah, I'll pray for her.
there you go. That's very nice. I agree. I mean, it's like we don't know, like Elyse mentioned earlier, it could just be like the stress of it all, and that's how she's acting, or she's doing it for attention. Like it's hard to know. And then as a viewer, you're just really not sure if you're supposed to laugh at her or laugh with her.
And that's the thing. I feel like with a lot of villains, like you said, they do have some likability, you know? But with her, I'm just like,
or like I'm thinking back to like Corinne, and she had like the butter noodles naps and like just like jokes.
I think we're missing the humor aspect of it.
yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Because she hasn't made me laugh with her yet.
She's straight mean.
Exactly. Yes, that's what I was trying to go for there. It's like she's just missing that like humor piece. And I mean, I was reading up on other things after even watching it, and it's like things I had even missed in the show. I'm like, wow, she was mean to like a lot of these women.
And I don't think some of the things that she's saying are necessarily what everyone, when someone gets a one-on-one date, and she was saying, I think at first kind of cringe the first 2 minutes of the episode, she's like, I'm not happy for her. Well, yeah, of course. Like you want to be the person on the date, but like read the room and maybe just hold that down and be like, oh, I really like this person. I wish her well, but I wish it was me, instead of.
Yeah. And it's like, I mean, even like Dale and Claire, it's like he was there for her. She like, maybe Victoria's feeling that way. Like, why are you looking at these other people? I'm here for you. Just never know.
I just don't think that the feeling is mutual, though.
I agree.
I think he's like, okay.
It'll be interesting to see, because she didn't get a rose yet, right? I don't think she got a rose yet. Whenever Sarah had fainted, or
I think we're
no.
the last like 2 that they're gonna leave.
Yeah, they're standing right next to each other conveniently.
They're gonna draw us out for another week. So as we've kind of chatted about the different ladies, was there anyone else that stood out to you guys that you wanted to recap about, or any moments, or
Still love Abigail. She's
so sweet. I
Um,
do have to give props. Oh, sorry, Tracy. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I have to give props to Sarah. I'll be honest, I don't know how. I have a feeling that she's going to come out like sweet and then something's going to change. I don't know why I have that instinct, but whatever her outcome on the show is, I have to give her major props for leaving her career and being a caregiver. Absolutely. That is an incredibly tough role to watch someone you love like lose control over their body. It is a very hard task to be a caregiver. So I'll give her props for that. But I have a sneaky suspicion that things are going to get interesting with her. Really? Not just because she passes out.
Yeah, no, I agree. I can't imagine either what, she's going through being there when she's left her career and has been taking care of her family and all of that.
Yeah. I mean, I mentioned her last week when I was seeing like the one small clip of her. I'm just like glad that she got the second one-on-one to be able to kind of share that story so quickly, because it is a disease that really needs a lot of awareness, and it's a very difficult thing to personally witness. And sadly, I've been through that. So I hope that they honestly keep pushing that message a little bit, just to have some good come out of like this show for mankind, essentially.
Yeah.
It's a really miserable disease.
Yeah, but I agree. I think it's good that like there are messages within, like these women have stories and things that other people can relate to.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely nice to, not nice to like hear a different sob story, because, obviously everyone goes on a one-on-one and they try to pull out the saddest thing that like the producers like want them to, pour the saddest thing they can think of out. But I always appreciate, like a storyline or something that we haven't really necessarily seen before, but that can bring awareness to anything that isn't just, I had a hard life for whatever kind of fake reason, because there's nowhere else to go with it.
Right.
I agree. I think causes like that need to. It's just great when the show is, they all talk about the love journey, but there's a lot of people watching. So anytime that there's awareness brought to something that doesn't get talked about, like Tracy said, I think it's wonderful. It goes beyond just Matt and whoever he ends up with narrative.
And I feel like everyone said, I think the consensus just like online and everywhere is like people really are liking Matt this season. Is there anything that you guys are hoping to see from him?
That he stopped kissing with his eyes open.
Dude, this is what we want to hear.
That thing I haven't noticed. Oh my God.
It's weird.
It's really, like, if you think about it, yes.
I don't know if it'd be weird in real life. Like, it maybe for certain situations, I went back and forth while I was watching it. But when you're on camera, just flutter those eyes shut. It doesn't look good to be like,
oh my God. Usually it's someone, if like they don't have a connection with the person, the eyes are open and they're thinking about something else and they're like, God, I wish I wasn't kissing this person. In that sense, you're like, okay, I can tell they don't like that girl. But didn't he do it with Brie? Like he definitely
passionately kisses with his eyes open.
Yeah, I feel like it's a continuous thing.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I like that.
I mean, hopefully he can like laugh that off though.
There will be some memes.
Yeah,
for sure. I don't know. I really I know that it's kind of breaking tradition. They always, take someone from the past season. But I like that maybe he's not on such a pedestal. Yes, he had a social media following because of Tyler and all of that. But I find it kind of endearing that he has no idea what he's getting himself into. Whereas, at least with my experience, there was times when I was like, is this Colton or is this The Bachelor? You know, like it was hard because they have already had the experience of maybe Paradise or just being on the show before where they know what to expect. And because he has no idea, I think he's being a little bit more authentic in how he talks to people. And also he just looks a little nervous and I like that. It's endearing.
And it kind of like goes back, like you guys we were talking about last week too, like to the original concept.
Yeah, that's what I was saying last week. It just brings the show back because I like seeing a new person and he's just an eligible bachelor. And like you were saying, Elyse, he did have that social media following, but it's nice to get to know him for the first time. You know,
and at the same time as the girls are.
Exactly. They're all nervous together. I like it.
Yeah, it'll be interesting if that's a new kind of trend or if it will always, you know, if it'll go back to picking someone.
I hope so too, actually.
Maybe hopefully start to mix it up a little bit. Like maybe choose people from the show that seem worthy enough and maybe choose people from the outside world that have either been submitted or they found in some way, shape, or form that actually seem like they would make a great lead and need, you know, to find a person like this.
I would be interesting if they did something like that on Paradise too, like a mixture of people.
I don't think that could happen.
I doubt it will, but I was just thinking like then it would be
because you want to see like the continuation of either like the villain, like a Nick Vial becomes, you know,
they redeem themselves, right? Or find someone, I guess. That's probably the goal, right?
Right.
So with the new episodes being previewed, I know that we kind of touched on this last week with like Heather coming back and things like that. Is there any thoughts on the new women that are going to be joining, like just from the previews you've seen?
I'm very curious about that. I don't think we've seen that before. Well, I guess except for Tayshia's season where they brought in like a few new guys, but I don't remember them ever doing that before.
Not so many, right? Hasn't only been like one on the same night.
Yeah. I would say
usually it's someone from the past, like a Heather coming back, and it made sense for Tayshia to not, you know, walk into such a small group of guys. But I don't know exactly why they're doing this because I can't see it playing out well for anyone.
Yeah,
I feel like that are coming in.
No, it just honestly seems like a situation to stir up drama because obviously there's enough girls there that he obviously went back to producers like, she's not in this group. You got to bring more in. Like
they're in the background, like.
Well, yeah. If you think about it that way, like if you're going into the group, like it's going to be a little awkward because you haven't made any bonds, and then if you're already the group, you're like, why is there new people coming in?
I'd be pissed if I was the girls already there. They're going through a couple weeks of things and people got eliminated. And then these girls got to like jump forward in the process and pass a couple of those rose ceremonies that they never had to worry about.
And then Tracy, what happens when they jump in and get a one-on-one?
Yeah. I mean,
and you know what's going to happen.
I think that any girl in that situation would be annoyed by it. Yeah. Like, some of them are like, I'm so happy we have new girls so I can make more friends.
I wonder, now that you said that, Tracy, I wonder if once the new girls come, if Victoria will switch and not be the one that's like so isolated because they're all going to have this common enemy. Mm-hmm. Maybe that will be her redeeming moment.
Perhaps.
Yeah.
I hope for her social media wise. I hope she has a redeeming moment.
Yeah.
Safety, I hope.
It's so hard not to read the spoilers, but I'm really not doing that. So I'm just want to I've been like reading sometimes like what other people say after the show, but there's so many spoilers out there. It just takes the fun out of it when you already know like who's going to win and that kind of thing. So it's more fun to kind of have your favorites.
Yeah. I haven't looked at any.
Don't read the last chapter of a book.
Exactly. Yeah, I know. Everyone like wants spoilers and it's like, you gotta just enjoy the show. So as we kind of wrap up, I feel like that was so fun to just chat about your thoughts from last night's episode. And I can't wait to see what keeps happening because they really did end it like perfectly with still a few roses to pass out, someone passing out, all of those things.
Hanger.
Yeah, exactly. What'd you say?
Is next week the week that the new people come in? I don't even remember what the previews were for next week.
You know what? I only remember the preview of them showing her and then like the very end and then replaying that.
Yeah.
So I really don't. I feel like they've got to start coming in. If there isn't there a handful of them.
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah.
I know.
The longer they wait, the more they're going to be common enemy number one.
It'll be like home dates and adding someone in. See, we really aren't reading the spoilers. Everyone's kind of lost together. So as we wrap it up, though, do you guys have anyone? I know you mentioned a few of your favorites, but anyone that we should all be looking out for that really is standing out to you that maybe isn't getting like as much TV time that you kind of are like, oh, we should watch her a little more?
I wasn't here for the I wasn't here for the first episode, but Rachel's my person to watch.
Yeah,
and I don't know how I feel about it, but I think it's just my gut instinct.
He's a really strong connection. Oh, sorry, Tracy.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, it seemed like he had a really strong connection with, I think her name is Kayla from North Carolina, episode 1, and he kind of faded a little to the background this week. And Mari, she's really beautiful. She's another one.
Beautiful hair.
I was like, oh, if I had that.
Yes, that's who that is. Yeah.
I'd pick her. Just because I want to like her to read me bedtime stories with that beautiful voice.
Yes. I agree, Rachel. I can't decide my feeling on her yet. I can't decide. I'm not sure, but I do feel like she's someone that'll start to come to the forefront a little bit more. And the one from North Carolina, I just forgot her name again.
Kayla.
He seems connected to her from the whole North Carolina background. So I think that's actually a very like cute storyline that they've been slowly building at. I'd like to see a little bit more of Kit just because she seems fun. And I thought that she was going to get a little bit more airtime so far. And I'm surprised at first she came in pretty bold and then very quickly fell back as if almost she was like uncomfortable with the situation or like the environment. So I don't feel like she's been as confident as she was right when she arrived. And I'd like to see a little bit more of her. She's adorable. And I mean, her mom's a fashion designer.
I was just going to say,
it's definitely fun to watch them at the beginning, like watch all of the contestants and see everyone that is on the show. But I love as not like people getting eliminated, but it's just easier to see who they are and, you know, connect and really find the people that you're rooting for when we get to see more of them. And it's like less of a competition, I guess, as this show goes on. So I am excited to keep recapping with you guys. And I can't wait to see like what happens in the next episode and the next few. And we can really kind of figure out what these ladies are all about. See more of Matt, hopefully with his eyes closed a little more, all of those things. But thank you again. And if everyone wants to go ahead one more time, if you guys want to just share your name and maybe like your Instagram or something so people can keep up with you and follow your life after your time on The Bachelor.
Sure. Okay, I'll go first. Again, I'm Tracy Shapoff. Instagram is at Tracy Shapoff. You'll find me there.
Ashley Luebke. It's a tricky last name. Luebke. Same Instagram handle. Ashley Luebke.
And I'm Elyse with a Y. Elyse Michelle _MUA.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much. This was so much fun, and I can't wait to see what everyone thinks of the next episode.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.